I'm telling you, we used to watch it. Like Union lads, I was a football lad growing up as well, Friday night boots and all.
Yeah.
Legendary. You know, you've been told, but what's happened to rugby league?
That's a big question.
He is an icon of our game.
Yeah.
Ours, both of us, across there.
I don't think you'll ever see one of him. I was thinking about him the other day, like, what he's done has just been unbelievable. I don't think there's anybody been able to do what he's done and just reach the absolute pinnacle in both sports.
Has he got one eye as well?
Yeah, he's got one eye.
He's got one eye. He's got one eye. He's got a metal shoulder, and he's still playing rugby.
Yes,
that's the program.
Whatever this is, then yes.
Whatever this is. This is the Big Jim Show.
On this episode, I'm joined by one of the toughest blokes to have ever played the game of rugby league. He is a man of steel. He is one of the best to have done it. I've enjoyed following his journey since he's retired from rugby. He's one of life's good guys. It's the great Jamie Peacock. I've hardly had any sleep last night. You see all this stuff? This happened in America.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crackers, isn't it? Yeah, with the shooting.
Hell, have you seen it on social media? or not?
No. I just saw a bit this morning that he'd been shot.
Mate, so I was driving back last night, and my phone was pinging with the lads and stuff like that. Like, holy fuck! So I pulled over because I was like, what's happened?
Yeah.
And I'm not massively into politics or whatever, but I'm now taken a little bit of interest for a number of reasons, right? Because I think it's everyone's responsibility to understand what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that on the train on the way down, mate. That's the thing. With politics, you should take an interest.
You have to. Yeah. The minute you talk about politics, and I've tweeted a couple of things like, oh, it's a comedy sketch at the minute, how annoyed people get.
It's amazing.
Stick to rugby, you're a fucking idiot anyway, or stick to whatever you know. Like, I don't even know what you know kind of thing. But that thing came up, and I don't know how much. I know you. I think you're on X, but I'm on X. I don't know if you go on there.
Yeah, I don't go on it. Yeah.
That channel now is a disgrace.
Yeah.
The video came up, so I pulled over, and the video came up of this Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
This, if you want to call him right wing or conservative speaker, politician, if you want to call. He's getting shot in the neck. You see in HD, and it's like normal. This is like normal to platform.
Mad, isn't it?
It's frightening. And I mean, my mates are very into this stuff, so they share stuff. It's called The Fourth Turning. Have you heard of that?
Is it that Strauss and go on?
Yeah, I can't. Yes, I think. See, I'm good. Me and you are not political. They're doing The Rest is Politics next door. They can maybe talk about it, but it's around like it works in this 100-year cycle.
100-year cycle. Strauss and Howard.
Okay, and then this fourth turning is the Civil War, effectively, where everyone revokes and that seems to be
where we're at.
It seems to be where we're at. Yeah.
I was thinking about that because there's that great saying, isn't there? Hard times create strong people.
Strong people.
Yeah, and then strong people create good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people create bad times, and that's maybe where we're in at the moment. That's that fourth cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and again, people will be laughing at me and you trying to talk about it. That isn't what we're experts in, but as fathers, right, and as men in the world that we're in now, like there was a part of me where I went to bed last night and I genuinely felt quite emotional. And I don't know this guy at all, and I'm not aligned with everything that he says. But being a father, my wife said to me, you know, JJ, my son, my 14-year-old son, seeing that video, and I weren't going to share that on here, but I think it's right to, because they're sending that around, and it's not about politics. It's like because it's so accessible that they think that's normal now.
Yeah.
You know, we'd have to go and dig into Ogrish and all of these horror things that you can. We have Argentinians playing for us that would send you the most fucked up stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually not that fucked up now because it's literally in mainstream.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Like you had there was always one oddball in the team who'd be able to get all of that kind of stuff, wouldn't there? But that was the filter, right? Where there's no filter for that now, and I can really align with what you said then about going to sleep. Just worried about what kind of world my kids are going to be in the 20s, 30s and 40s, or does every generation go through this kind of worry? Do you just go because there's loads of examples of people throughout time going, this is as good as it gets, and it gets better, or this is as good as it gets, and then it gets better. but are we really at a kind of precipice of that? Because no one's ever involved technology before.
That's
and these
the thing.
other precipices that we've had throughout, like, kind of humanity.
People say that, and I've heard loads of people say this is the best time to be alive because I know there's still famine in the world, but most people can afford to eat. It's accessible. There's the phones and all of these things for communication. It's relatively safe when it comes to disease and all of these things. But I look back, and we were talking about because of Oasis, like the 80s and 90s, where there was no phones. You were just coming out of that kind of cycle of hippies, and I know there was war, the Gulf War, and coming out of the Falklands and stuff like that. And from my military background, I was loosely involved in that. But it did feel like it was simpler, I would say, than it is now. But I don't know whether that's because I'm an adult and now I've got kids and I feel that sense of responsibility.
I would agree with that, though. I think nostalgia is easy to look back and go, yeah, we're better. But I think the word you used then was simpler, and I would agree with that. I don't think, like, the mid-90s for me were a difficult time as a person. You know, I was finding myself as an adult coming out of school and, you know, trying to make my way in the world of rugby league. But I do remember it being a kind of simpler times where you kind of knew where you stood and it wasn't so complicated, and you didn't have to deal with a billion different kind of views on things, and it didn't feel as quite as partisan with everything. You're either on this side or on that side. I can't remember ever having that feeling growing up in the 90s around that's been really, really divided with that.
Yeah, I think when I look back on it, and I didn't have my parents there, so I'm thinking about it more, my social circles at school and like chatting to my wife. The worry was for the parents was smoking and drinking, or if you're the boys fighting.
Yeah.
Bullying as well, which was always existed and always will exist. But the three things, like, are they smoking?
Yeah.
Are they drinking?
Yeah.
You know, they're fighting. You know, what they're doing. It was simple.
Yeah, it was really simple.
Yeah.
And it's only kind of that reach of where you could get to physically that influenced how you was as a teenager, really, wasn't it? You know, because you didn't have that outreach that you have with social media, where there's so much influence on, like, teenagers, children and adults from outside that circle, really, physical circle. Because I think as a kid you don't watch that much TV. I didn't anyway. So you don't have that real influence on you, whereas there's influence from everywhere, isn't there, because of social media, I reckon.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about experiences as well, and we're very aligned. And, you know, naturally for this, you start researching and going into places that you might not have gone before, listening to some of your stuff. And we are very aligned on a lot of things. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, because it is quite topical at the minute, is America. And you're talking about taking your kids to America for experiences. You're the same as me. You don't lie on the beach for more than 2 or 3 days. I can't do it. I can't do it. No. So
2 days is enough. 48 hours and I'm out of, like, what we're doing here.
So, like, walking mountains and doing these things for purposeful and experience. But when I go to the US, and I love the US, you're going to the US, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going
from here.
Yeah, from here, yeah.
A load of people messaging me and say, well, "Why are you going there for? Guns and right wing." When I go, I never genuinely feel or see any of that. But this is the first time where I'm like, fucking hell, the US is different.
Yeah, it's different, mate. It is different, you know, from spending more and more time out there. And it feels like sometimes there's more fanatical people. And I think just with that, because everything's so partisan these days, then there's room to be a fanatic within that. And I think because of the guns law, that can be dangerous. But the vast majority, you know, my time spent in America has been around good people and people who are sensible and reasonable with that.
Where'd you go?
So, you know, I'm normally going to Philadelphia or New York, that side of things. But then, you know, I travelled down the West Coast with my daughters 2 summers ago. Been down through Montana, Wyoming this summer, you know, into the national parks. I mean, that was stunning. That was incredible. But I do feel like when I'm in Philadelphia, I get a bit of the, you know, real America, because it's not tourist. I'm like in a suburb, just doing my thing in a suburb around there. It's just, yeah. I mean, I've really enjoyed my time there, and I think it's an amazing place. It's just that maybe its extremes are really extreme, I think. And the problem when you've got real extremes and you've got easy access to guns, then it can be dangerous, I believe.
Yeah, and Well, it's politics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you do go there, and I've been to a few places, so like Colorado, which is quite liberal.
Yeah, Denver in that way. Yeah.
And then also like Austin, Texas, which is really liberal, but Texas is very right wing. So it depends. So maybe our experience is interesting. You go to Philadelphia, because I've been there once, and it did feel a bit more edgy and cultured, as you might say. But I don't go to places where it's like the Wild West of Texas, where it's really right wing, and you'll see the hillbillies like slinging guns around. So, as much as I love the US and going to New York and these places, I suppose if you're not exposed to the extremes, your relationship with the country is very different.
Or the extremes, but also going to the places where tourists normally go. You know, when you get out of that way a bit, you see a bit of a different side of America. I certainly saw a bit of that as I was travelling, you know, kind of through Montana and Wyoming. When you know, I like to stop at like local places for something to eat, because I think you get a real feel for it. And do you know what? People are really friendly, but they're just a bit different, you know. And because the country's that big and huge as well, there's no wonder people are a little bit different within there. But the majority of people I found in like small town America have been friendly people, but where the political view lies are probably slightly different to what ours would be, I imagine.
I love the place. I think the vastness, the wildlife is incredible, the feeling of space. But yeah, I mean, they're just our experiences. Why do you go there then? You said, so why Philadelphia? Why?
So, yeah, my partner Sarah lives out there.
Okay.
Right, yeah, so we met nearly a couple of years ago now, and transatlantic relationship is not as romantic as you think. It's like pretty hard work. It's good to get out there and see those different sides, see America. I love doing that, love new experiences and everything like that. But that's the reason why I'm out there a lot. But I do love road tripping in America. I just think it's a special thing to do. And the times that I've been out there before with all my children, when I've been to New York before, and then I road trip up into Canada. But then when we went with my two teenage daughters, it's just, you just have a good time. It's better than you want to sit on a beach for like 2 days, you know, when you can just see a lot of different things, see the countryside. I mean, I drove probably 2,000 miles this summer in 10 days, and none of it was like crap driving. It was just all like mind-blowing, stunning, and all different. It was just, it's just a good place to.
Yeah, for sure. When you speak about things, I know you work extremely hard. I want to get into your Hyrox and your fitness stuff, which blows my mind. I was going to say at your age, you're only 5 years older than me, but at your age, you're in incredible shape. But how you live your life with working hard, but it's about experiences and being present. And these are all the things that everyone, as men especially, because I'm a man, we're speaking about, that we're trying to find that contentness, that purpose and time.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm trying to be a positive male role model. I don't think there's enough of them about. And I think you can still have an hard edge to you, but still have a soft side to you, and still work hard. You can still talk about your feelings, find fulfillment, but still be a bit of a man with it as well. And I think we just lack a bit of that. And I think maybe boys and men in the teenage years and the 20s probably lack a few of those kind of role models like that like I can see straight away with you. You're comfortable talking about how you feel about things. You're more comfortable, you know, having a range of emotions, but I can do difficult things. If you want me to do a difficult thing, I'll do it and just crack on and do it. And I think that's the reason why I like working hard. I love my fitness side of things, but I do love just experiences, enjoying life. I think rugby gives you that lens to do that, because we're fortunate to look back on your career, and you kind of, those great moments you have and great experiences, they're things that give you the happiness. But almost, I think what led me to a bit around finding fulfillment and joy was that, you know, when you win something, that elation is unbelievable, and the next couple of days isn't. But then you fall off a cliff, man. You fall off a cliff. But do you know, when I look back, you enjoy more probably those moments building up to the big event, those experiences building up, those times in the dressing room, all the time away together. And that kind of led me into just where I sit now, as a bit older, recognising where I get my happiness in my life and what leads me to being able to find happiness and fulfilment. And more often than not, it's not around, you get a buzz from completing an achievement, but it's, like you say, it's the experiences and people you hang around with, I think,
Yeah, you Northerners are built very different, though. Tough, fucking as tough as they come. People talk about South Africans and Fijians in our sport, and people from Samoa, yes, we know, but you Northerners, there's a different soul inside of you. Give me some reasons why, because the North isn't far from the South. We're a small country, right? But the sport that you played, and I know some of the guys loosely. I used to watch you guys. You built different. There's something inside of you, whether or not it is the fact that your dad's worked on the roads and in the coal mines. What is it, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great compliment to the people who play the get sport rugby league from the north, but I think you do have your own. I've been watching what you've been doing on the way down here on YouTube, but you can more than hold your own, mate. So with that, I just think I had a pretty gritty upbringing. Sort yourself out, look after yourself, and get things done. And I think that's a bit more of a mindset, or almost a chip on your shoulder up north. That I'll give you a great example. Is that just maybe that leads into it, is that like down south you get fucking £15 billion spent on the Elizabeth line, and we can't even get like a tram system in Leeds, right? So it does make you feel a bit chippy, and I just think those kind of things of life being a little bit more difficult day to day, I think makes you a little bit more gritty in what you do. I think the reason why maybe we have got a generation that might be a little bit softer is because we created that environment where everything's easy to do. But I think in the north, certainly my childhood, and it's difficult. It's challenging. It's not. That's what I would say. It's those like day to day smaller challenges, I think, make you gritty as a person and define who you are. They give you all those little obstacles and bumps you come over, give you a tiny little scar, but they do make you more resilient, tougher in what you do, and just that mindset of get on with it, get it done.
What happened to your sport? What's happened to rugby league? I watched the final last year.
That's a good question.
Was it Wembley?
Which one?
Was it Super League final?
Yeah, grand final.
Grand final.
Old Trafford.
Old Trafford. Is that the one that was half full?
No, that was that'd have been Wembley.
Yeah, so the game that I watched at Wembley was half full.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we used to watch it. Like Union lads, I was a football lad growing up as well, Friday night, boots and all. Yeah. Legendary. You've been told. But what's happened to rugby league?
That's a big question. I think it's been ever decreasing circles. It's like that chip away. No one notices it's not as good as it was, and all of a sudden you notice, don't you? You go, oh fuck, that's nowhere near as good as it should be. I just think a lack of, when Super League first started out, the money that was coming into the game was good enough to attract big stars. It was good enough to invest in the community. It was good enough to build the game. But slowly over time, because we've not had another broadcaster interested in bidding for the rights of the sport, then Sky Sports, as you would do when you're the only person, say we'll pay what we want to pay. And I think that's kind of chipped away at the sport to the point where you don't have the superstars over here. And I think people pay to watch superstars because the more I think about it, like the top 5 or 6% of the players do the things that nobody else can do. And that's what you want to watch, don't you? They're the things that get bums on seats and they get people in from outside the normal avenues of sport. And then I also think we've not invested enough in our local communities into growing the sport, be in the schools. And for Super League, and it's interesting, your sport, I would say Super League, right? It's, the NRL has gone from strength to strength, gone bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think in life, talent goes where money goes, and we've had a massive talent drain and I think when you drain talent, it takes the glitz and edge off a product, and that makes diehard people love it probably more, but the outsider, casual viewer, I can't be asked with this. Like a little bit like you said, this is not really worth me watching. You think? Yeah. So I think there's and in amongst that, you've got some bright stories. OKR have been with the right people on board, right investment. Have done the right thing. I really hope the Ashes series can do something at the end of the year. Project the sport back to where it was. But I'm just worried about where the sport goes in this country. Does it ever decrease, and where does it end up?
Yeah, we've got similar things in union. It feels like now we're starting to get our shit together.
Yeah.
Slowly, but we are slowly moving. So
Yeah.
the financial part is one thing, the participation number, but international rugby is thriving. Like all the
What
games
sport?
are sold out.
Yeah. That's the international rugby's the games that I love watching. I love watching that because it's an event, right? You get there, it's sold out, everyone's interested. At that top end, the top like 2 or 3% of rugby union players, incredibly skillful. Most of them could play in either code, I reckon, with time. And it's a great event. It's a great selling piece. Rugby League, we've not got that. The NRL have got it. They've got the state of origin, right? We just need to spend a bit more time in that international area. And yeah, hopefully the Ashes will show that this year.
It's like all these other sports, they have a cultural relevance in, like you'll hear it, I'm in it all the time, where there's a crossover between like football and boxing and music and you common man and woman, right? So it's their identity, it's tribal, like Sunderland. I've got a mate who's a Sunderland fan back in the Prem. Everything's sold out. It galvanises
the community,
the town, the city, the community. It's their identity. Even if you don't play, like you're there, like you're in it, you're engaged in it. A union has that with the internationals, with the Six Nations, with the World Cup, the Championship down south. I do wonder with league whether like a couple of things. I think you were ahead of your time back in the kind of 90s and where the sport was, and union was similar because England won it in 2003 and you had icons of the game. We did the Lion series in 97 with the great late Doddy Weir and the characters and all of these, and we actually documented it. But maybe you were too honest as a sport. Because it was an honest sport, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and it was authentic. So it wasn't the case, we need to grow superstars. It was the ultimate man test was rugby league for me. Like union's got complexed and it's similar. You've got to be a warrior, physical and have these athletic attributes, but rugby league for me is one of the most purest, most fucking honest sport, even now to this day.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sport. I love that you said that, and it's the truth because I like meeting new people, and I meet people who have no interest in rugby league. I introduce them in rugby league. Within about 3 or 4 matches, they get it. And they love the beauty of it. They love the brutal simplicity of the sport, and then they love the brutality of it as well with it. It should be an easy sport to market, really, should it?
It really should.
you know?
I can't get my head around because if you understand, and I don't, like the social side of things, the Northerners, let's go specifically on that. I know there was the team, the Catalans in France, that Sean Edwards is now aligned to, and you had the London Broncos, was it? I remember them back in the I weren't bothered about that. I was Andy Farrell, right? I was Wigan, Leeds Rhinos. I was Bradford Bulls. Like, just... Man, these are fucking northern towns and cities, right?
Yeah.
I have football as well. I remember Bradford being back in the day. I was a Leeds fan, Tony Yeboah, back when, Gary Speed and all these lads were there. I was into football, but there was just an unbelievable identity of these working class places that now you don't... Wakefield.
Yeah.
You mentioned Hull. I know Hull are on the way back up. You don't hear like anything coming from these places now.
It's true, it's true. I don't know why that is. And I think that could be one of the things that the game should challenge itself with, rather than obviously you need to keep growing the sports in terms of geography, but really there should be a focus on selling out every game in the north, right? That should be the focus, because I always know when you turn on a TV and if there's a sports event on and it looks 95% full, you kind of watch it for a bit, don't you? And it can be the sport you're not interested in because you think, oh, that must be important because other people think it's important.
100%.
So when you turn, that's the problem with the game. Where if we show every game on TV, and I just think that's one of the world's worst mistakes to show, because no one wants to see 3,000 people watching Salford versus Huddersfield. It's shit, basically. It's a crap product, and it's not worth watching. So why would you do that? Any other business don't do that, do they? They concentrate on, we'll show you our best, right? It's going to be our best all the time because we know that's what attracts people with what they do.
And that's what the NRL have done. They've been unapologetic about their delivery. And I know that this is contentious because of high tackles and concussion. We're in that, right? Because we're the players that kind of paved the way and no one gave a fuck about us. But I look at that from a marketing point of view. And they're doing the Vegas thing, which it looks cool as anything. And they've managed to cross over. But they are unapologetic about their delivery and about how they do it. And they have gone, like the UFC have done, like boxing have done, like football have done to a degree, and gone, fuck yeah, we're going to do it our way, and we don't care.
Yeah.
And the fans will dictate the growth of the sport, and the fans' state of origin, NRL games sold out, the Vegas games.
I agree with you, 100%. I think more in rugby league, you've got the insurers running the game rather than rugby league running the game, and there's that market there. There is a market out there. UFC has shown there's a market out there for violent sports, right? Because that's grown year on year. There's a place for that, but I think rugby league's in that unique position that is brutal and violent, but there's also a sense of like fairness in there and like do the right thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't dive when there's a foul, and those kind of good moral codes that you want. Okay, there's some violence and you stand up for yourself within that, and it can be physical, but I think there is that good moral code runs through it still as well.
It's so funny you say that. The violence, right? People don't like hearing that word. I've brought it up a few times, and I'm comfortable to say, like, we lived in that violence and chaos and beauty. Like, we did. That is what you had to do to play sport at the highest level, and you were in the middle of all that. And I had this thought, right? So me and Willie Mason follow each other. So I remember Willie Mason from Australia. You probably know where this is going. And I'm like, I'm sure Jamie Peacock flatlined him and he got stretchered off, right, on oxygen. But, you know, the mind carries on and then the old stories. You didn't flatline him and got carried off. But the Great Britain-Australia matches and that one moment where, who did he punch?
Punch Stuart Fielding.
So Stuart Fielding, like Judiced him, right?
Yeah.
And then you've flown in and you've clocked him. He claims he might have slipped. I don't know what he says about it. And you've dropped one of the hardest mother effers in the game. Like that was when you look at ice hockey back in the day and they had the goons scrapping.
Yeah.
That is when, and I don't condone that now because we know that stuff like that ain't good for you, right?
Yeah.
But that is when league was at its pomp, right? Great Britain, travelling to Australia, the best of the best, and the fans were dictating it because everyone wanted a piece of it.
Yeah, you're right. You've nailed it there. I think if you'd go, mid 2000s, we're probably riding the wave as well of being sports science. So you're physical and athletically, we're in our prime. You've gone from that part-time 10 years ago to being understood, right? What makes a great athlete and how can we get the best out of our athletes? But you also had that that confrontation in there that could get settled. So now, one of the worst looks I think in either code is confrontation that's shirt pulling and that kind of crap and carrying on. Whereas it was more like you straighten out between each other, and then that's the way it is with it. And I think people who followed rugby or people who like those kind of sports like that because it's simplistic in it. You sort it out, and then we just get on with things. But we admire the athleticism and the skill and the flair that you've got as well. But it's got that edge around it too, as well with it. I would have said, it's a good point. Saying that, I mean, I keep coming back. I just think that I think we'll see the best of that with Rugby League, with the Ashes series back here, but we won't have that kind of confrontation in it. We'll have a lot of shirt pulling, won't we, and people pulling people around. Yeah,
you still have the big shots, though, and they still go high. I know that they're trying to mitigate that and they're trying to go lower.
Yeah.
Union, it's been back and forth. Well, not back and forth. It's been trying to lower the tackle height, and they've had loads of issues with red cards and people being sent off and sin bin and a little bit of confusion. But I get it, and I'm for it as well. They ain't going lower in league, are they? They're not refusing to do it, or how are they dealing with that?
Well, they were doing it, and then they was getting the same as Union, where probably too many players were getting, sin bin and red card, and they seem to have been a bit more lenient around it now as tackles going over the shoulder within the game. But then after the game, I feel like the bans are pretty substantial, and maybe that's a bit of a way to run with it a little bit, that you have the substantial bans afterwards. With it, I do think there is a bit of, with Rugby League as a professional, you sign a contract, you know what you're getting involved in, right? So, and I think it's great that all the protocols are in place. And one of the big ones I'm a fan of is making sure people spend time out of the game after they've been concussed, because that was never a thing for us, was it? You can play next week, right? I can remember some weeks not being able to text properly on my phone, and then you're playing the following. I couldn't remember how to text, and then you're playing the following week. I think that's the dangerous side of it, which they've got out of the game. Those repeated ones. I think Shantae Happy really suffered.
Yeah, I played with Shantae in Montpellier.
Yeah. I mean, what a tough player he was, but he was getting dropped all the time, wasn't he? And I think
by being hit with a bag.
Yeah.
So we were in training, Jamie, and someone tapped him with a bag.
Yeah.
And he got knocked out, and Fabien Gautier was shouting at him because he thought he was joking.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so that I think is a really important side of it, that we look after players after they've had a concussion and make sure they don't get those repeated ones. But I think as well, as a rugby player, you need to take some responsibility that you are getting paid to play a violent sport, and if you play a violent sport over a long time, that there may be some repercussions long term for it. But let's do as much as we can to mitigate it without taking away from the spectacle of the sport with it.
Well, that is, whether people like this or not, and I speak about this all the time, that is why a lot of people, I know this, right, and people will disagree, but I know that this is right. People are drawn to these sports for them reasons, right? Because you have 16, 17, 18 stone men, and you have a few, the late, great Rob Burrow, you're looking at Cheslin Colby, and you have these kind of outliers, these smaller, who can hold their own against these, like, giant men. But to the core of it, and you said it there, was the violence and the chaos and the fact that 99.9% of people can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
They cannot do that. So when they see a big hit, or they see you running the ball back at literally as fast as you can go and not even looking for space, you're looking for another human being. That's what it is, that contest there, because they can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And it is that, just that physical confrontation of both codes that brings in not only the diehard fan, but the casual one as well. When you put together a highlights reel in probably both codes, you put together a lot of their big hits, don't you? Because that's what draws people in. I mean, that's one of the things. You take someone to a rugby league game for the first time in person, and when they hear that, like, bone, flesh on flesh, like, you get used to it. You don't, when we're playing, you don't think about it, do you? But when I hear it now, you're like, oh yeah, that's quite hard. That.
Yeah, and it comes to the point of this confusion around masculinity. And I don't put myself out there because I'm worried as a 42-year-old man with tattoos who used to fight and do all of these things and play in the sport. And we talk about violence. Is that there's a confusion about, like, what does that masculinity mean? So if you're playing in that sport, then you're perceived as an alpha. And I'm not saying people see it as toxic, but they see it as a negative somewhat. So if I was to pass an opinion on other sports or women's rugby or whatever it is, it has to be I have to be very careful about how I have conversations and speak about. And there is that confusion because of, you're sat here, your fingers are butchered, like you're a big man, your nose is across your face, you're a tough northerner, of how to contextualise other things, right? But you're a father, I'm a father, I'm thinking about my feelings, my emotions, but almost before, it's coming out more now. I'm probably not asking a question, I'm just thinking out loud about being in a sport like that is as masculine can be, but it doesn't need just to be that.
No, it doesn't. I think you're talking about you can get prejudice because of who we are and what we've done, right? Because most people will automatically judge you on that appearance of, oh, you played rugby. That's how you played rugby, watching what I did. So your opinion must be around that alpha male.
You're an animal.
Yeah, you're an animal. Where just most people get to meet me will know I'm quite measured and I think well rounded on what I say, and I think that can be a powerful place, though, right? Because I think to show vulnerability as a person or as a man, I think you have to come from a place of strength to be able to do that, and then showing vulnerability and showing that you care or showing you have empathy or an emotional feeling about something. If it comes from a place of strength or like, I can handle confrontation, I can do that kind of thing, but that's not how I live my life. Do you know, that's a very small part of it. But if you need me to do that, I can do that. But the large percentage of my life is around being a reasonable person, having empathy, understanding people, and being okay with my emotions and feelings with that. And I think that's why we have a role to play, being role models. I think that we can do both ends of it. We can, have that confrontation, play a brutal sport, but then we can do all these other things as well with it alongside it. And
especially now, because we're no longer that version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I try and say. I don't go around punching people.
I see it, alien.
But I wanted to ask you this, right? So because of the way that you played the game, and I think I might know the answer, but I don't know the answer. Like I speak about training and having to smash myself on the watt bike and do weights and stuff because naturally I'm aggressive and I have these things inside of me, and I know because of life experiences that I've had, emotional awareness and all of these, what I need to do in order to make myself feel regulated. Okay? I'm not saying if I don't train then I'm going to go around like trying to fight people, and that's not what I mean. But you do that, like you train like a savage. I'm watching your things, I'm watching the times and the Hyrox. Is that because you're aware of what you would be like if you weren't like that, or is it deeper than that about purpose and everything?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say it's the combination of both. I feel like you use a great word there. I'm a far better person. So I know I'm a far better person for everyone in my life when I'm doing physical training, because it just, I think I've got an urge to push myself. I think you get conditioned being in professional rugby league for 20 years or professional sport, certainly in rugby, to push yourself to do difficult things time and time again. So when people see us like charge into someone as hard as we possibly can, that's not an easy thing to do, right? That's the thing you have to go, right, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do it for the benefit of the team, and I'm going to try and get one over that person there. That's not a natural thing to do. So that you spend a life leading difficult decisions and trying to push yourself physically. So I need to do that, because otherwise I get a bit angsty and I know I'm not good around it. That's why I find hard taking days off training, because I know I need to, because I'm getting towards 50. But if I have 2 days off, I feel a bit like I've got to do something here. But then I do love the challenge and that lifestyle of it, and just seeing how hard you can push yourself. And maybe one of the reasons for me as well was why I was doing running, but then I thought I knew a guy, Martin, a friend of mine, who's part owner of a CrossFit gym, that I went there when I was playing. It's thought I need to start doing some things that are more challenging for me, and also hanging around with younger people. I want to hang around with people who are in the early 30s. Because I think it keeps you alive and it keeps you honest. So I'm always trying to, that competitive edge, and I'm not going to catch the best of them in the gym, but they're going to push me really hard, because I am going to try and catch them, you know, within there with it. So yeah, I get so much benefit from it. I don't think I could. I've got a couple of things I need to have surgery on. I'm getting nervous about it, because I know that it's going to impact me. With that, I'm going to have to be like pretty mentally resilient to deal with not training and not being able to push myself for a period of time.
What joints are they?
Well, the finger's getting done. The finger's getting.
Just hold that up to the camera, just so we can see. Where is it? This one here. Look at that finger. Oh my! I mean, my fingers are fucked as well. That's why I wear a ring on this one, because it's bent as well. But yeah, so. But people think finger, right? They think, oh, it's only a finger. I mean, what are they doing? Are they chopping that off? Or
no. I said to my daughters, I'm going to get chopped off. I'm going to say it's a gambling debt that I've never paid off. But no, they're going to. I thought it was. I got this when I dislocated my finger, and it started to grow there. But it's actually like a tumour. It's non-malignant, but it's a tumour. I've had it. And then I use this side of my body all the time in the game when I was taking carries, because I like to spin off people, like take the impact and spin. But this means this side of my body, it's like, it's fucked. So like my nerves struggling down here. So I've got carpal tunnel syndrome and cuboid tunnel syndrome. I've got them both. So I need to have all this operated on next week.
Is that nerve?
Yeah, the nerve. Yeah, I'm beginning to. My hands, pins and needles, wakes me up every night with it. So, and I'm losing grip strength in it. So I need to get these done. So that's going to take me out for a while. And I think there's a couple of other pieces I need doing as well with it. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is where I'm jealous watching your stuff. And I say that because my missus does Hyrox, and I've tried to do a few bits of that.
We're too big, really, aren't we? You know, like I do my best, but I'm just a bit too heavy and a bit too.
Yeah. But even doing the burpees, because my back's the hinge, right? Yeah. And then the jumping part of it as well. Yeah. And I really want to do it, because I went to a couple of events that she's been at, and there's a real good buzz. Yeah. And the same year, I'm watching these 30-year-old lads who are shredded with their shirts off, and I just want to be them. I'm like, that used to be, not shredded, but that used to be me. I was the young bull, but I can't do it. But I watch like Kev do these runs, and I'm watching you do that, and I'm thinking, right, is this a mental block for me, or is it because I'm 6'8" and the hinges are fucked? But I'm trying to work out whether or not, like, the physical and mental, and maybe I've gone soft in my older years. Like, what kind of nick are you in when you're doing that? Because your times are decent, right?
Yeah. I think my times are good for my size and my kind of weight and that. I think I'm as apart from my niggles from the sport, I'm in as good physical shape as I've ever been in. Like, I've really invested hard in it, and I'm lifting weights that I kind of lifted when I was near playing, not far off. It's just that high end you can't get to anymore. That, like, I'm 47, nearly 48, and you just can't get to that top 5-7% of your heart rate. It's frustrating. That's the thing. But I've just got to compete against myself and try push other people who are younger than me as hard as I can. That's how I see it.
What's that last bit you mean? So
do you know when you're right above 170, 175, and I think being able to stay in there, and essentially because younger people got higher heart rate, haven't they? So they can keep that. I think that's why you drop off in your mid-30s as a player. You begin to lose that high-end heart rate. Like, I can stay at, like, I did the Seville Marathon. I just told the story, yeah. So I've been trying to break 3:30 in a marathon forever, right? And I thought I picked Seville Marathon. And what normally happens when I try break 3:30 is I chase the guy who's 3:30, and then he begins to pull away from me, either like 20 mile or 30 mile. And I followed this guy at Seville Marathon, the 3:30 guy was right in his pocket, till about 19 miles, and he started to pull out in front of me again, and he started pulling out in front, and he must have been about 300-400 metres ahead of me at 23 mile. But I thought to myself, I'm not fucking being a valiant fucking loser here. I'm not having this, right? I've done this so many times. So I knew that I can, like, redline my heart rate. I can get above 95%, and hold it for about 25 minutes. And I knew I had about 25 minutes left. So I went for it. And my heart rate was at like 97, 98% for 25 minutes. It's on my polar thing. But I managed to claw him back, and I got in like 25 seconds under 3 hours and 30 minutes. So I can still get in there, but when you're younger, I think you can get a higher heart rate still, and you can do that for longer with it, And that's
more comfortably. Because if you're in your head, like, doing that, and you're a hard man, so it's not comfortable. You can't be doing that all the time, can you?
No. I mean, like, I was above it. Like, staying that high, it's hard to stay that high with your heart rate, and then. Yeah, I was gone when it got over, but yeah, I was so made up. Like 25 seconds. That's literally. You think when you're running 42,000 meters, and 25 seconds is about 50 meters. It's like 0.1%, 0.01% maybe of making it or not making it.
I do wonder with you league lads because of the differences in the game, and I've got no idea about this, but I'm watching Kev do his runs, and they're not just. I mean, you wouldn't even call it a run; you'd call it an ultra runs, because your game was maybe more up and down. You didn't have to scrummage and bend over, and then that kind of rotation, because you don't see many union lads doing.
Endurance.
You see a few doing endurance, You see a few. The odd one will do like the odd Ironman along the way, and some of the freaks, right, just naturally like their joints are in decent shape. But I do wonder, because I look at a lot of the league guys, it's shoulders, right? I was chatting to Barry McDermott, who played in that game for Ed and for Doddy and for Rob. He's got a fake shoulder.
Yeah, he has a metal shoulder.
He's got a metal shoulder. He's played. Has he got one eye as well?
Yeah, he's got one eye.
He's got one eye. He's got one eye. He's got a metal shoulder, and he's still playing rugby. I was like, "The fuck."
Let go, mate.
I know. Right. He said, "Well, if I can do it, you can do it." I was like, "I can't. You're a northerner." But was it mainly? So if you're chatting to your mates now, is it everything, or is it more upper body?
Yeah, it's more upper body,
Okay.
100%. Like shoulders sore, thoracic, middle of the back, and that, and like you say, like all this arm. So it is more upper body, and I do think you make a great point that rugby league is more on endurance, and the fittest players decide the games in rugby league. So the more able you are to be good at endurance, obviously, clearly the fitter you are in the last 20 minutes, you make better decisions, skills easier, you can see more things around it. So that whole, you look at the best teams in the world, you look like a Melbourne Storm or a Penrith Panthers or Wigan over here have been consistently good. Hull KR again, they're the fittest teams. They're the fit, physically, endurance-wise, they're the fittest teams.
Yeah. What about supplements and stuff? Because you've still got like this thickness to you, and I've been chatting to guys who have been in the States, and they're looking at TRT, and they're looking at all of these things, which I'm starting to take a bit of interest in without going over all ground. I've got a hormone issue, like I had my thyroid removed when I was playing, I got elbowed in the throat. So I'm interested in that space of like stem cell and, not specifically TRT, but I'm into supplementation and really digging into that. But you've got a thickness about you still.
Yeah, well, I think that's down to just, I didn't have this 18 months ago. I mean, it's 18 months of kind of being at CrossFit has done that. But, the biggest thing that's worked for me is creatine. But I started taking that more for my brain, right? Because of that research around it. And I try to get a good night's sleep all the time, but sometimes I don't, and I have 4 hours sleep. And you just if you've got to run a leadership session the next day, you've got to get on with it. And there's that research, 30 grams of creatine, you have the same cognitive abilities if you've had a full night's sleep. And also it can help you, if you take more than 10 grams a day, it can help you not have a drop off in the afternoon, and also with dementia and everything else. So I've started taking that, and it has been outstanding for me. I can't recommend it enough. There's a woman, I can't remember her name, was on a Tim Ferriss podcast, and she had a lot of things around how to help you with dementia. She was brilliant, and I put that on the old Great Britain Lions group. Said people need to listen. You need to listen to
What
this.
does she look like?
Oh, I can't remember what her name. It's like Rhonda. It might have been.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there'll be a few. I had Tara Swart, who has been on some of these big podcasts as well. Theo Von, she was on recently. Dario Vissi, and we were talking about creatine.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. These people, I'd say, because she's a woman, she's a psychologist and a brain neuroscientist. That they are advocates for creatine to the core
massively.
of them. It's the most studied supplement,
and it's worked for me. I honestly I've been clearer with my mind and thinking when I'm tired and in the afternoon, and then also I think it does. You do feel full. I put on weight taking it, with it. So that's about it. And then I just take some magnesium, cod liver oil. What else do I take? Some vitamin D, and that's about it really. But I swear by those, and a couple of pints of electrolytes first thing in the morning, and that's me. What about you? Do you take anything?
Yeah, I do actually. So again, going into more supplementation now. So I'll take creatine. I don't take 30 milligrams.
No, I'd only do that if I've had a bad night's sleep.
Okay, but that's interesting that you do that. But I've heard that you should take more than you're told, because it is 5 milligrams that most people should take. But I'm 120 kg, so I try and take 10 or 15, and I'm with you. Makes a massive difference.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? Yeah.
And then the hope with the dementia stuff around the corner, naturally, uncomfortable conversation, but you're future-proofing potential issues with that as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons probably, sorry, I should have said that, why I exercise physically, because it is shown, isn't it, to have a huge, 100%. Massive impact on your how healthy your brain is and how long you stay healthy for. So that I'm basically training. I'm going to be around cognitively and physically in my 70s and 80s, that's what we're training for today as much as anything. We should have said that earlier.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. It's not interesting. It's great, the fact that we're talking as ex-professionals, that we do these things, we understand ourselves, we're emotionally aware, but we can talk loosely about supplementation, so like creatine and all the stuff that we take. So I know a lot of people, they're not necessarily influenced by the podcast, but they'll be in that stage of life where they're mid-30s, 40, brain fog, all of these things, the mental health issues that naturally you have as a man, and the purpose and training, and what's too much, what's too least, and you are guessing a bit with supplements. So I'll take creatine because it is proven, and then I try the cod liver oil, vitamin D, because they're kind of proven as well. I take zinc, selenium, which is a thyroid thing, and L-thyroid something as well.
Oh, CoQ10 I take as well, sorry, because that really helped. I was getting migraines, and magnesium and CoQ10 and cod liver oil. That combination of them really helped reduce the cadence of the migraines I was getting, and the severity of them as well with it. So.
That is migraines. Did you get them as a player or not?
No, I got one about 2 years after I was playing, and then it wiped me out. But then I'll go through periods. I know my indicators for them. So let's say I've trained too hard, I've not drunk enough water, and I'll go out drinking and I'm tired. I will get a migraine within 48 hours. With it. So I just through trying to work it out myself. What are the factors within that? So I can probably manage 2 of those. I can go out and I can do a hard session and have a drink, but I need to be hydrated and need to get more sleep. But if all 4 get ticked, then I'll get a migraine off of it.
That's the thing. I never got migraines.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right. Well, that's a good thing.
No, but now I do. So now I'll get maybe 2 in here, and they're debilitating. And I don't know. I've not worked out what the trigger is, but I feel like my hand's not attached to my body. That's the first thing, and then I can feel it coming and coming. But,
I just get lights for about 22 to 25 minutes, like lights, because I thought I need to work out why this is happening. So I started like recording. Every time I got one, I started recording down, right, how did I feel, what have I done the few days before, what's my mood like, and then noticed even things like I could get like a bit depressed leading into it. Sometimes when I get a bad one, I'll be off. I'll be like, and now I know to recognise that feeling that I might have a chance of getting a migraine here because I'm like I don't want to see anyone, I'm pretty flat, and then I'll get a migraine, and then I might be bad the next day afterwards as well with it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You are a bit of an outlier to most people if you're writing stuff down, studying and understand, but more people are interested in it.
Yeah.
Like, are they? This is becoming more normal,
Yeah.
by understanding yourself.
But I think that comes from playing rugby, right? Because you spend, whether you know it or not, you spend your whole career reviewing what you do, don't you? Right, well, why did I play well in this game? Why didn't I play well? What did I do in training? You know, like, I'm not fucking really talented at rugby, but I used everything I could to get the most out of the talent I had, and that was one of those processes, right? Work out why am I playing well, or why am I not playing well? What the reasons behind this?
Yeah, and that's the world that you're in now as well. So I suppose you're living intentionally how you're asking other leaders and people in business to do, right? So and stuff that works for you. If it is writing down, if it's trial and error, if it's documenting, voice noting.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe that's intentionally why you're doing it.
Yeah,
as well.
probably it is a bit because you know, if you're a teacher, you've got to do what you teach, haven't you? I don't think you can teach, because what I'm trying to teach people are things that require effort and in your choices, right, to do. So if I'm not doing it, I don't really feel I can tell somebody else to do it. But maybe that reason in my brain comes from my rugby background, because you know, if you ever with a captain or a leader have told you to do something and they won't fucking do it yourself, you'd be like, yeah, whatever. Do you know? Whereas the guys who did it and then asked you to do it, you'd do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. How do you deal with that in business then, as a leader, as a captain like you were, and one of the best of a generation across both codes? You're telling people to go and do something, but you're doing that yourself. So now in this world that you're in, where it's not quite like that.
No, it's not like
how do you manage that? Like, firstly, instinctively. So what's your initial instinct of that? And then how do you change instinctively how you are?
Yeah, so instinctively, you question why you're not doing that. You know, I think that's the thing I found very challenging when I first stopped playing, is that I was used to working in teams that won, you know, Leeds and Bradford, and in teams that win, it's full of the vast majority of people. If you say it, you're going to do it, and it gets done, and you don't even have to ask about it again, right? And then I walked in at the real world, and after about 3 months, I was like, most people don't actually do what they're being asked to do here. It's like it's an inconvenience, you know, to do what you've been asked to do. So over time, I think I began to shape questions around it, so to give people, in my kind of training, I've created like a system of accountability. So a big thing for me is making people journal. And so journal, then you have to hold a mirror up to yourself. And I basically say in my programs that the only thing that's non-negotiable is journaling. So if you don't want to journal, we can finish today if you want. And you can make that decision and you can go home. Or if you want to journal and spend 5 minutes each day trying to better yourself, then we can work together going forward. But that choice is yours. You know, I'm just telling you what the framework is to do this. And most people then, and if you ask, you rather just tell people, if you ask the question, will you be able to do it? Then, and get people to say, yes, I will, then you've more chance of getting them to do it. So I think it's about I created accountability because I knew, people generally, not all people, I don't want to slag off all people outside sport, but a lot of people are good at lying to themselves in the mirror out there. You know, Wayne Bennett at the I got to work with Wayne Bennett, which is unbelievable. And he said to me, JP, he says, people are the best in the world at lying to themselves. That's the thing we're all good at doing. And he says the best players don't lie to themselves. The best people don't lie to themselves when they look in the mirror. So I've tried to create a system that stops people lying to themselves, make them journal.
Yeah, that's cool. And you said it in a really cool way as well. And I don't journal, but I've thought my wife journals.
Yeah.
Just tell me when and how then you're expecting people to journal. So beginning of the day, end of the day, like what is it every day, asking them to make themselves accountable for what they've done? Maybe just share some stuff that's non-negotiable.
So we might set like 4 kind of actions, okay? You know, it might be 2 as a individual, might be 2 around your leadership. So for example, your leadership could be a positive influence, okay? So at the end of the day, you're going to journal, right? How was I a positive influence today? That's the question that you ask yourself will get the best out of the journaling, I always feel. If it's a good question, you'll get something out of it with it. So what I tried to do is get them to shape maybe 2 or 3 questions around themselves and then answer them at the end of the day. A big one with people, actually, which I do more often than not, is like believing in yourself and confidence. So a good questions I use around that I found to work are, first of all, score yourself out of 10 every day with your self-belief or confidence. And if it's high or low, write down the context, because then you get to understand out, what are the reasons why I'm lacking confidence, because sometimes you feel confident, sometimes you don't, but you need to know the detail why. It's being a bit forensic around it, a bit like the migraines, or why did I play well in a game, doing the same kind of thing with that. And over a period of time, if you spend 10 minutes at the end of each day just journaling about that, you change. You see people run and change. It's amazing to see, because you can get people who are like, I'm doing it, but only because you said it's non-negotiable and that's the only way I can do the program. But by the end of it, they're like, I'm going to journal now. I'm going to do it. So I think it's powerful.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about it. And again, I'm trying to not slowly, it doesn't need to be slow. It probably needs to be now.
Yeah.
Of just things, not accountability. Cause I kind of do it my way and it works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking to get to the next level of things and like manifesting, and if I'm really going to level up on the podcast or whatever, maybe I go away from this and I write about what I've learned from this, like how it could have been better.
Yeah.
The fact that I need to start journaling.
Yeah.
So I'm consciously thinking about how I elevate different things.
Yeah, like if you could ask the question each day, what have I done today to make this the best podcast it could possibly be? And if you ask yourself that question every day for a 100-day period, fuck, I think that's pretty powerful, because there's no way to hide with that, is there?
Yeah, of course, yeah. How could I make this better? Maybe more artwork in the studio. See, I'm a creative, so I think differently to that. I wanted to ask as well, because I'm conscious of time as well. I wanted to ask what your game does for support after rugby. So this is not a witch hunt. I'm in this space because of my sport and everything that the sport's going through, and my age profile and 4 children and all the things that we're talking about, right? I'm just interested to know what are in place for you warriors gone by.
I think there's been a massive improvement in it, okay? So now there is access, let's cover that, there is access monthly to an expert in dementia. So if you're feeling like, I'm not feeling where I'm at, you can go and see that person and get see what's going on with that. There is the charity Rugby League Cares. I know they're trying to raise money all the time. Mozzers and Scully are actually I've been over in America cycling to raise money for that, and that goes towards helping research around that as well with it. So there has been an improvement in it. I think there's a way to go with it. I think there's a study going on in rugby union at the moment. There's a lot of people involved in it. Every 2 years you get looked at. But there's a long way to go with it.
I'm involved in that program.
Yeah. Do you know what? I managed to. They emailed me and they were like, I don't play rugby union. They said, "Oh, come down." So I went, "Well, I will do then."
Yeah, I don't know whether it's the same one. Dementia prevention program.
I can't remember. You see it every 2 years to see it, and there's a number of players, and they did it down in London, like had a brain scan and everything like that.
Yeah. Did you take it up?
Yeah, definitely. I want to know. Yeah, I really want to know. But then I think where they need to progress is maybe, do you know, like where we kind of flitted around and touched on some things you can take charge of as a player to, offset it. Vitamin D, cod liver oil, creatine, training, doing Wordle every day, right? All these kind of things. I think the next step for me for Rugby League is they should run classes for players as they get into the back end of their career. These are things that you really need to do. You want to you played a violent sport, there are chances that you will have suffered some minor maybe brain damage, but these are the things that can offset it. So go away and do them. I think it's good that we've got what we're doing. We've got the research, haven't we? And we've got the diagnosis there, but there needs to be more invested in maybe a preventative, or how we kind of help prevent it through the choices you make.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it needs to be spoken about more, because it feels like a lot of these things, political, I know it's it's negative.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas instead of hitting it head on and speaking about it comfortably, and being like, right, okay, our generation, there's some of us that are going to be fucked, right?
Yeah.
It's obvious. So there's no point saying, well, no, you know what, well, yeah, and actually dealing with what is coming around the corner. And we saw a player killed himself last week for an All Black.
Oh, the All Black, Shane
my
Christie. Partner Sarah sent me that.
Yeah, so there was a couple of lads, and so this is happening, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at ice hockey, you look at NFL. I know football has had its issues with the big leather footballs and boxing and these things. For anyone to think that it is not coming round the mountain within Union and League they're deluded.
Yeah, they are.
They're delusional. And I understand there's a negativity around it because there's people suing them, there's money and all this. I just want to get to the stage where our peers, our kids, if they decide to play, boys and girls, right, that they're looked after. Yeah. And that their studies are done there and they're like, right, well, you can't play 35 games a season. You can't be doing contact.
It's training, isn't it?
It's the training. It's the training. And even at the schoolboys, so my lad playing rugby, it's like, I want to know what contact he's doing. I want to know what contact he's doing. I want to know why he's doing it.
Yeah.
I just want to know because I don't know what the studies are. I don't know what the optimal amount is for that. And they are significantly better. But the uncomfortable truth is, and, you know, it's actually quite sad that you say, I mean, it's positive, but this bit's quite sad that you mentioned Adrian and who was it?
Scully, Paul Sculthorpe.
Yeah, Paul Sculthorpe, that they are having to cycle, which they want to do to make money for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand they're doing it and it's great and fundraising, but that makes me sad in a way.
Yeah.
Because the money should be there for us.
Yeah.
Right? So who's doing your risk? You might go private. I don't know how well your business is going.
No, I'm on the NHS. You've been waiting 6 months straight.
That for me should not be the case.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, if I need a new knee, like these are superficial, this isn't the brain, that there is a pot of money there that says you fucking gave your body, your brain, your soul to this game. You can get operated tomorrow, whenever you want.
Yeah,
whenever you want, and we will rehab you and we will look after you because you are one of our fallen warriors.
Yeah. I could not agree more with that. I absolutely agree that there should be that money there to be looked after you
100%.
finish playing. Do you know? Because you like you train, I train, but our bodies are like it's taking its toll on me. It has taken its toll, and like say this one I'm getting done on the NHS. There's other things that I might need doing that. Yeah, you just wish you could turn to someone and go, can you just get this done for me, right? Because it's debilitating my life now. And then can you just get the physio done with that? I agree 100% with that.
Because that's when the mental health stuff comes, and whether people like to hear this or not, because of the CTE and you can't diagnose that until after death, until they physically look at the brain, they're the same symptoms as depression.
Yeah.
Right? So you're in that horrible age group of 30 to 45 or 50 or what that danger zone is. It's probably younger than that for men now who are taking their lives. And then you accentuate that in our sport, right, because of what we've done and the purpose and the lack of money after, which a lot of these lads go through. They don't train, the nutrition's so different, is like they're the same. They're the same symptoms. So that's what needs to be done. There needs to be that understanding instead of just, can't say anything, don't talk about it. And
I agree.
And so that's the frustration for me. And I'm looking at stuff now. There's this talk of this gum shield that lights up, and they're doing a fucking gum shield. What are you talking about? That's all right. I get it.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. There's a gum shield that lights up. Okay. That if you take a big collision, it's like we need to get them off. Come on.
Yeah, and did you know as well? Like, if there is. Let's say we get that fund that's available, right, to look after players when they finish playing, to help them with what the body's done to their bodies and minds, then I think you'll get far less people suing the sport. You would do, though, wouldn't you?
100%.
Do you know?
Well, because there's desperation, right?
Yeah.
So because there's other things in our sport, right? So you make money. I don't know how much the Rugby League guys made. No one told me how to invest my money.
Yeah.
I was chatting to a wealth management guy who I'm helping, who's my mate. I'm helping with a creative thing. And he's like, I ain't got a fucking clue.
Yeah.
I have got no idea. I know a bit about Bitcoin because I listen to these right-wing podcasts that talk about Bitcoin. I know loosely about pensions, not to invest in it because apparently they take your money and they raise the age from whatever it was to when you're going to be dead anyway. Yeah. And there's you know nothing.
Yeah, it's true.
You literally know nothing.
Yeah.
I know that there are good people around that want to help you and say, "Oh, I'll help you," and we'll do these things. But a lot of us you start when you're 17, 18, you ain't got a scoop.
No, you ain't got a clue. And what normally happens is one person knows one guy, and then he gets all of it. And if he's a shyster, everyone's done, right? That's what normally happens, isn't
You're
it?
building houses in Croatia, like a load of my mates that were never built. They were like, where's the house? There's fucking no house here. There's not even a building site.
I think that happened to a lot of lads with houses in Spain and Egypt. Because
Egypt was the one,
yeah. It came round and I was looking at it, I thought, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I'm not interested. And it was too good to be true, right?
I know, yeah. But I mean, it's an amazing sport, and that's what I mean. Like, it isn't the dirty part of it. It's not dirty because we're talking about, some people make it dirty. You know what you get it into. And this was the whole thing, Jamie, when I sat on it and this whole thing came around about suing World Rugby and these conversations. I didn't miss one day in my whole career, one training session, one game through concussion.
Yep.
Like, come on, I played 280 games.
Yeah.
I am fighting, I'm getting smashed, I'm getting kneed. So, but I was aware of that. I signed up, and my whole thing when it came out is that I signed up for that. You know?
Yeah, mine's same. I would not sue the sport, right? Because I'm not stupid. I signed up, it gave me a great career, and I'm towards the back end of it, certainly as I'm older and wiser, from 28 to 38, my last 10 years, I know that if you get concussed, there's all the ramifications come out from the NFL, from the American football. So I'm probably going to be in this category, but I'm making the choice to keep playing into my 30s and that. So if that's the way that my life, if that's the thing that takes my life, well, that's not for me to sue the sport. Because they tried to put as much in place as possible as they could when it was there. I took those choices to do it. And I mean, that's my view, same as yours. But I don't think I could do that. It's hard, isn't it?
Because it's an uncomfortable truth.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable truth, and everyone's situation is different. But that's my stance on it, right? That I won't do that.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you've got it all worked out, but you're aware of your existence and your personal development and your training. You're putting things in place, creatine.
Yeah.
But you're putting things in place, as am I, to mitigate them things. But a lot of lads naturally just spiral a little bit, don't they? Because they lose that purpose. A lot of lads get divorced. That happens because you're no longer that Jamie Peacock or that Jim Hamilton, that warrior, that legend of old. Like, you're no longer that person. So you're a completely different dude when you retire, and you have all that to work through. But I mean, I have some great people on the podcast, and we talk about these and the rugby guys, and I just hope that if there's anyone within our sports or World Rugby or the powers that be and the people controlling the business side of things, that I'm talking about it positively. Yeah. But we do need help. I think there is a thing that the lads, they'll go and cycle, right? Because they're mad fuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll want to go and do that. But if you think of other sports like NFL, I've been over to the Dallas Cowboys. I got taken over there, met Steve Jones, who's Jerry Jones' son. Yeah. And they're a multi-billion-pound industry. I'm loosely connected with some guys in the UFC, and they've got their own problems about how much they pay fighters.
Yeah.
But their athletes are fucking looked after.
Yeah.
Financially, they're looked after, and the game allows that, right? Because of the TV deals and the commercial deals around that. But the aftermath as well. Mate, they're looked after. Yeah.
I think it's important to get you right. It's a great word, the aftermath. That aftermath needs to be way, way better than it is at the moment. For rugby players, I just think it just needs to be. Yeah, it should be. I thought a lot about stuff like this and thinking that when I got my niggles and my injury, thinking somebody should be looking after these. I shouldn't be having to wait on the NHS, or I fund some of it privately myself so I can get a little bit further down the line with it. I give everything I got to all the both clubs I gave, and I mean everything. And afterwards, it shouldn't be just discarded with on with it. And I think if they could put some protocols and some funding in place, I think the ex-players were talked far more positively about the game. But I'm refusing. I thought to myself, I'm not going to get bitter about this. I just fucking get on with it and do my own thing.
Yeah, but that's right though, because that is. I know it's the uncomfortable truth, but that is the truth. What you're saying there is the truth, and people are the NHS or whatever. We're talking about lads who are 30, 35. Knee replacements. Richard Hibbart, who played hooker, had a shoulder replacement.
Hip replacements.
Hip replacements at the age of 35 as well. I've got a mate who's got 2 new hips who's going to need to get them redone through the NHS, and that shouldn't be the case.
No.
Right? That's the thing. And I think, right, you talk about money and investment and not understanding about Bitcoin or stocks and shares. There needs to be something where some part of that money. I don't know whether you can government like incentive or initiative that there's a part of that you have to put into a pot.
Yeah.
That then that pot, there's no tax on it or whatever,
Yeah.
or it's a professional sport or rugby players pot that then gets doubled through government or through the unions or whatever. That to the day you die, you can dip into that pot and right, my wrist is done. I'm going to go and see the best wrist specialist there is out there tomorrow because I need to go tomorrow. Or I want a blood test because systemically with all the painkillers and all the protein, my guts are fucked. There's nothing, which is a shame. So maybe this podcast might trigger that.
Yeah, it might do. Yeah, it's a good way of doing it. Like 2% of your salary every year, that's matched by the game, and you get a big pot of that growing and growing over time. That could take care of it, wouldn't it?
And if you don't use it, you don't dip into it, then that goes into the pot again.
Yeah.
So, and then that's invested in a way in which a lot of the finance is around our game, and the smart people know how to invest that and grow that money. 100%. There we go. We've solved it.
No houses in Croatia.
No houses in Croatia. Egypt was the one I remember saying. Egypt. I was like, I've fucking been to Egypt once. Yeah, I'll do that. The lads are losing everything. Fucking hell. Oh, what a day. I wanted to just talk about some of the league guys that have come over to Union, just to service the audience, and specifically Andy Farrell.
Yeah.
Right. He is an icon of our game.
Yeah.
Ours, both of them, across there.
I don't think you'll ever see one of him. I was thinking about him the other day, like, what he's done has just been unbelievable. I don't think there's anybody been able to do what he's done and just reach the absolute pinnacle in both sports.
Sean Edwards might argue.
Yeah.
But was he as good as league as Andy Farrell?
Yeah, and Faz is in that hard position. He's the head man. Do you know, that's the... So like Faz in Rugby League, when I look back on my career, I just remember what an incredible player he was. He was just, when you're playing against Wigan, you knew you'd have to be on against him carrying the ball, and he was always at it, and he drove standards. When we played for Great Britain, he drove standards in Great Britain. He was an hard trainer with how he did things. And I think at that point, we don't always see eye to eye because we're bitter rivals against each other. If you get into Faz and have a go at him, you go a long way to beating Wigan with it. So that brings a lot of animosity with it. But I found, and so my view then was, I'm not going to respect you, because when I play against you, I just want to give you everything I've got. When I look back on my career now, and certainly look back on Faz's career, I got so much respect for him as a league player anyway. But then I think his transition for me has been incredible from playing in, for England, and then he's had that long pathway developing as a coach. And from what I can see on the outside looking in, the guy Andy Farrell, who's the coach now, has changed so much from the guy Andy was the captain. When he was the captain, he was very direct, bollocking people. That was the style a bit back then, though, wasn't it, 25 years ago? Whereas now, I think I just hear he's created this culture where players want to come in, they want to buy into him. He understands people. He takes his time with people, builds relationships. But then he's also got that. He's got presence, hasn't he? You walk in a room and you know he's there in the room with it, and he's got that great combination of both. And just I like watching Ireland play. I do like watching Ireland play because I think they fucking give it everything. I think they're skillful, but from an outsider watching a sport, I can recognise when people give everything they've got, and I reckon he's got a group that give everything they've got with it. So I have so much respect for him. I think he's not spoke about enough. He's more than once in a generation. He's once in a century type of bloke, isn't he? As you look back on what he's achieved now.
You said it. That's exactly it. I think him and Owen. Yeah. And I played with Owen. Yeah. Interviewed Owen actually on the show, which was amazing because he doesn't do much as well. Yeah. Andy doesn't do much. Andy said he might come on. He's thinking about it. Yeah. He listens to the show all the time. But there's an enigma around them. But I actually like that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't need him to speak about it because you're not that it devalues him or anything like that. But the fact that there is an enigma around him, there is that respect, and that's a really difficult trait to have. What he's got, that emotional intelligence, and that is right. And again, we're on this masculinity. He is the epitome, I think, of what it is to be a fucking man.
Yeah,
like
I'd agree.
The modern day man.
Yeah,
right. Everything you hear.
Yeah.
Okay, how he interacts with the wives and the kids, and you're in that sport. I'm going to say it again: of violence and chaos. But look how he played. Yeah. So that's in him, right? Yeah. So that is in him, like it is in you and me a bit. Yeah. But like it's in, and to do what he's done, And that's why Ireland, when they didn't win the quarter-final and they got knocked out, he was standing the test of time.
Yeah,
because it's undeniable what he is. Right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, just the what he's managed. You don't often see. I think if I get this right, I might be wrong, but the coach he had in there was successful. And normally, when you're an assistant who takes over, you do not have success. True. Right? It's proven time and time again that, isn't it?
Well, you can become like a little bit like the furniture, don't you? And it's like.
Yeah,
I don't know what the psychology is around it, but right, sorry, go on.
Yeah, you don't. And you see that time and time again with particularly people who've been good coaches and then the assistant takes over because the good coach goes somewhere else, right? You don't see a lift, but you've seen a lift again with what he's done with the team. And just, like you said, the thing I think's just huge about him is just his development as a person from who he was as a 25-year-old captain of Great Britain, captain of England, this like warrior, straight talking, blunt, to who he is now, like a well-rounded, empathetic, emotionally intelligent person. But I think you can see from an outsider looking in, every Irish player knows what lines they can cross and which ones they can't with him, right? With that, and they know the repercussions if they do cross the lines. But I reckon they could go and confide in him about when they've got something really wrong with the family or the kids or something in their life, and he'd go, "Yes, wait, I've got you. You do what you need to do, and I'll see you for the game. Be ready." He's got that, hasn't he?
Mate, yeah. I love listening to you talk about him like that. You talk about rugby league and how you solve rugby league. Imagine, right? A billionaire is going to need a billionaire comes in, right?
Days.
And they say, Jamie, you're taking Bradford. You're the head coach.
Yeah.
Kev, you're taking Leeds. Andy Farrell, Wigan, mate.
Yeah.
Right, and bring Owen as well to play. Because I spoke to Owen and he said he considered going back to Wigan.
Yeah.
Going back to Wigan, as in to play for Wigan, going home to Wigan to play for...
There was all the rumours, wasn't there, going around?
That would have been mega. And that's what it needs. It needs an injection. And it needs money and all of these things. But the story of you legends is there.
Yeah.
We're running out of time.
Yeah.
But the story is there. Like, imagine bringing Sean Edwards back. He can do the Catalan. He's over there now. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
bringing
the
you
people.
guys back.
People connect with people, don't they? People. You know, I tell you a story around people that when myself, Kevin and Kylie played in the Rhinos team that won the treble in 2015 at Old Trafford. That the rugby union played the game against, I think, Uruguay on the same night, trying to detract. That is how things work, right? But because of the people's story involved in that game, I think it's the only grand final that sold out a week before because people just wanted to be part of that people's story rather than it elevates it above being a game, doesn't it? With that, and I think it's people certainly these days, like people want to see their storylines, don't they? It's about storylines, and yeah, definitely.
That is 100% it. And I was chatting to my mate about it. I said, I've got Jamie Peacock in the studio. Oh, fuck off. I was like, yeah. Football has managed to cross over into culture, to speak to the everyday person. Union, for whatever reason, story for another day, I've got my views on why we haven't managed to do that. But I think League has that.
Yeah, I think
you see these shows with like Roy Keane and Ian Wright and Neville and Carragher and whoever then comes into that studio with them, that natural chemistry of human authenticity is there to the core. And I'm not saying that Union doesn't have that, because we do have that, but I do feel that League is missing a trick by not putting you guys back in the room together. And I include Andy Farrell in that as well. Because there's something, for me, there's a soul there and there's a spirit that is unmatched.
It could reignite the sport, couldn't it? You know, Eddie Hearn spoke about it. Eddie Hearn spoke about Rugby League, said Rugby League's dying to death in the Northern Hemisphere because it's no stars. It's no like stars. Well, the way of doing that is bringing back people who are stars, and then that attracts people in. You get more big names come into it that way off the back of it. It'd be great to see that.
Yeah.
Would it ever happen?
Well, maybe
you
if
never
they're
know.
listening. I've had Sam Tompkins I've had on the show before. We did it remote during COVID. I'm trying to think of any rugby leaguers. Maybe I might do it. Might just do it as a fan. I might just start like a fan show and see where it goes. Jamie, I'm conscious that you want to get
you're all right,
to the US, mate. It's been genuinely like a legend. Like I followed your career when I was young. I'm a little bit younger than you, but then what you're doing now on social media and all the things that you speak about, mate, it's really cool.
Well, I say I've absolutely loved this. You know, I've absolutely loved just sat talking about a multitude of different subjects and topics, and I thought it was going to be this on the train coming down. It's been everything I thought and more, mate. So I've really enjoyed it, and I thank you for being on that.
Mate,
I genuinely mean
thank
that.
you so much.
100%.
If people want to get in contact, 'cause you've got these leadership programs that you're running, and I'm sure there's people listening to this being like, that's it. That's the one that I need. Like, how do they get involved in that?
I've just got a website. Just jump on my website, jamiepeacock.co.uk, and try not to get too bored reading through things. And if you do like it, just get in touch with me on that, mate, or just on Instagram. I'm on Instagram like Jamie Peacock 10 on there.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. Well, genuinely, absolute pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Let's do it again one day.
I would love to do it again.
Yeah,
honestly.
cool.
Yeah,
I'm going to start the fan zone one. Maybe you can be the first one on that.
All right,
Rugby League fan zone.
You
That's
got
awesome.
me.